Sorry, sorry, sorry. Sorry, sorry, sorry.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्मच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती सरस्वती।
Om Shanti. A very warm welcome from Women to Women. Good morning to you all. Today we have got Sister Cathy. Most of her life she spent in States, but now she's based here and serves at Global Cooperation House. Today she's going to talk about awareness, self-awareness. Meditation is the discovery that the point of life is always arrived at in the immediate moment. Accepting the reality of change gives rise to equality. Let's invite Sister Cathy.
Thank you very much, Sister Panna. And I also wanted to thank Dakshaben for inviting me to today's talk.
Yes.
I came to the Brahma Kumaris over 20 years ago in New York City, where I was born and raised. And I relocated to London last year, and I attend Global Cooperation House. And today we will be discussing the topic of self-awareness, or who am I? And so how do we get to know ourselves really well? Our emotions, our values, our character, our strengths and weaknesses, and so on. And why is it important, do you think, to be self-aware? Why bother? I think the answer is because we want to be happy. And when we know ourselves well, we can make choices in life that will bring us happiness. Otherwise, we may be limiting ourselves, or we may make wrong choices based on a false sense of who we are. So then, conversely, what happens when we don't have self-awareness? How does it affect our lives? And we'll have plenty of opportunity to discuss this as time goes on. But let me just give you an example of what may happen. Have you ever had a thought about another person, a friend, or perhaps a family member, such as, gee, Lakshmi she's such a good person. She's so kind and helpful, but she doesn't realize how good she is. And instead, she puts herself down or belittles herself. Have you ever known someone like that or find yourself saying that? And on the other side, have you known another person about who you would say, gee, Mary, she really has a problem with her temper. She causes a lot of sorrow for other people with her words. She upsets people, but she's not aware of it, right? Have you ever found yourself having those thoughts? And then what about me? What about myself? Do I realize how good I am? And do I see things in myself that others see in me that are good? And then do I also realize how I may be causing myself sorrow or causing other people sorrow? Because sometimes other people may see things in me that I'm not aware of, right? So both sides are important. So let's explore, how can I become more self-aware? If I'm not happy, one of the things that happens is we get used to blaming others for our unhappiness, or sometimes we may be holding beliefs or attitudes about ourselves based on what we've been told by others, right? Or sometimes I may blame circumstances or my destiny or my karma. And some people even hold God as being responsible for their happiness and their sorrow. But who is really responsible for my happiness right now? What happens when we think that others are responsible for our happiness and our sorrow? Would anyone like to share? You can write in the chat if you'd like, or unmute yourself briefly. What happens when we allow others to be responsible for our happiness or our sorrow? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so someone is chatting. Om Shanti to everyone. Okay, Jayshree, then Om Shanti to you too. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? So in order to become more self-aware, I need to realize that I'm the creator of my own thoughts, right? I create my own feelings, and I decide what actions to take in my life. And so it's these choices that I make that then bring me happiness or sorrow. So happiness and sorrow are things that I create for myself, and no one else is responsible for them. Now, is that easy to accept? What do you think? That I am the creator of my happiness and I'm the creator of my sorrow. Sometimes that's a little hard to take, isn't it? So I need to understand the reasons for my unhappiness or whatever might be disturbing me, whether it's sorrow or fear. And now it's okay to ask for feedback from others who we trust. Sometimes we have blind spots. We see ourselves as having a certain quality, but others don't see that in us. And we're kind of fooling ourselves, right? And the opposite can also occur. I may not think, for example, that I'm a good artist, but others tell me that they love my art, that I'm very talented. So asking for feedback is one way to get to know ourselves a little better. But what is just as important, and perhaps even more important, is to spend time with myself in reflection, right? So think about where you are in your life right now and where you would like to be, and what is holding you back. So in order to discover this, we need to spend time in reflection, to sit quietly and to discover who we are. So stepping outside of our experiences and reflecting on them. Okay? Sometimes we get so caught up in action that we say we don't have time to give to ourselves. We don't have time to devote to ourselves, right? But then at the same time, we say we're unhappy. But perhaps it's all these actions that I'm engaging in that are in fact contributing to my unhappiness. So how will I become aware of that unless I give myself some time, right? So what I've learned in my own spiritual study with the Brahma Kumaris is that sometimes we've learned to identify with our thoughts, but our thoughts are not who we are, right? I may have some limiting thoughts about myself. I'm not good at this or that, or I can't succeed because I don't have the ability or skills. But these are just thoughts, okay? So we need to kind of step back and think about our thinking, okay? And then we'll realize that our thoughts are not us. They don't define us, right? So we need to learn to create the right kinds of thoughts. So now we're back to our original question, who am I? And so as many of you probably have learned, Raj Yoga teaches me that I'm a soul that inhabits this human form, this body. So I'm a human being, meaning I'm the being in the human form. And the soul in the human body does not have sorrow. The soul's original nature is to be free of sorrow because the soul is eternal. And sorrow is something that's external to the soul. So whatever is eternal cannot give me sorrow. So it's the extras that we've taken on that are causing us pain. And so what are those extras? What is causing my sorrow? So spiritual principles tell us that there are 5 vices, which are the source of all the sorrow in the world. And what are they? Does anyone know? Anger, greed, ego, lust, and attachment. So since we all want to be happy, shall we first take a look at what may be causing me sorrow or pain in my life? Is that okay with everyone? I was thinking we can do a little reflective exercise and then perhaps we can share about it. Or if anyone has any question at the moment, that's fine too. Otherwise, I'll continue. Anyone?
They're
Okay.
very quiet.
Very quiet. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to play a little music and being quiet is fine. And I'm just going to speak a few words. And I want you to just take this time to reflect. Let's pause and reflect on the thoughts or attitudes or actions that I engage in that may be causing sorrow. Which of the vices, even in a subtle form, are a problem for me? So I'd like you to recall an instance in your life, preferably something recent, in which you had a strong reaction, a negative reaction, okay? And let's see if we can understand better what it is that I was reacting to. Was I afraid? Or was I angry? Was I insulted by something someone said or did? Or perhaps I felt very sad. Let's see if we can identify which of the vices, even in a subtle form, was creating this reaction in me. Sometimes we may have a feeling of shame or dislike when we face our weaknesses, but just let go of any of that. That's a waste of time. And instead, congratulate yourself for having the courage to face these things. So have you been able to identify a reaction you had recently? And what are some examples? Have I received any criticism recently or in the past? And what was my reaction to it? Did I become angry? Or did I feel bad about myself? Or was I able to calmly and quietly look at the statement that was made to see if there was truth in it, and perhaps become aware of something I need to change? Or perhaps anger may be affecting me in my relationships with others. And if not anger, there could be irritation or impatience or a trace of bossiness. Or perhaps I become attached easily to other people or to possessions. And when I lose these things, I feel sorrow. Or perhaps I think very highly of myself to the point of boasting or having a lot of pride. And this form of ego is causing problems for me. Or conversely, I may have a low opinion of myself. I may have low self-esteem. Or perhaps I have subtle greed, that I don't have enough and I need more. And I won't be happy until I have more of whatever it is. It could be money or influence or possessions. And we know that even billionaires continue to have greed. So let me take a few more moments to reflect on the causes of my reaction. And there's no reason to feel hopeless or helpless, because as human beings, none of us has reached a stage of perfection, right? In fact, one of our very senior teachers here at the Brahma Kumaris, who's been practicing and teaching for over 50 years, recently told us that she thought she knew herself very well, but she's still learning new things about herself. There were many things that she didn't realize. Okay, so this was just a little reflection to help us get the wheels turning and think about what we need to look at in ourselves. So now, if anyone would like to share, feel free to do so. Or if anyone has any questions, I guess, Panna, you'll keep track of that? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now let's suppose I have a better understanding now of what may be causing me sorrow or taking away from happiness in my life. So what is the solution? What's the solution? And as Panna said at the very beginning, meditation is key. to understanding myself, and also empowering myself to change, right? And change is a lifelong process because we're constantly discovering new things about ourselves. In my own journey, for example, I realized that anger and attachment were the vices that were causing me the most sorrow. So I would get angry when I felt that I saw something that was unjust, or when people didn't meet my expectations. I'll give you a small example of how far I've come, because there was a time I would get very upset. But the other day I was flying. I actually went back to the US for a little while, and I was flying back to London. And the plane that I was on had many, many seats available in the front. I was sitting more towards the back. And I always request an aisle seat, but I was told in this case I would have to pay $100 and something extra, which I couldn't believe. So I ended up with a center seat. And even though there were so many seats that were empty, so my sense of injustice, kicked in. And I started to become very unhappy. And I was silently stewing about the unfairness, right, of this arrangement. And then it just dawned on me, wait a second, I'm not going there. I'm going to be on this plane for 8 hours. Do I want to be miserable? Or should I just accept the situation as it is? And so I did the latter, right? Now, there's a time where I would have really been sitting there thinking, this isn't right, this isn't fair, I should have a better seat, and I would have been going on and on. So, I need to realize, what is it that disturbs me? And how do I get over that, right? So I'm sure we all have situations on a daily basis. Another one, I recently had some issue with my taxes, and I thought it was going to really take a lot of work to straighten this out. And I was convinced that it was a big mess, and I was procrastinating about making the phone call to try to address it because I said, no, it's going to be such a big thing. And I was taking notes and I was looking for information. And then finally I called. And the whole thing took about 5 minutes to resolve. Can you imagine? And here I was thinking, how many waste thoughts did I create about this situation? It was such a small thing. But in my mind, I had already decided that it was a big thing. So now I realize, I say, next time I'm in a situation like that, I'm not going to make any assumptions, right, about what will happen or what could go wrong. Okay, I'm just going to take the action. So anyway, would anyone like to share about anything that they may have realized about themselves, any instance that they've had recently where perhaps they realized that they were under the influence of one of the vices? I think in that case, for me, it was fear. Thinking that I'm in this situation, I have no control over it, and something terrible could happen, right? So
I had that situation, sister.
I think.
I went through a situation that was similar. Basically,
anyone like to share any questions?
Yes, Nilu would like to say something. Nilu?
Yeah, I
don't hear you, Panna. I don't hear Nilu. I don't hear you.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, basically, it was just a simple silly form that I had to fill in. And I was relying on my son to fill it in for me. And he's a very busy person. So I was getting all worked up. And I thought, when is he going to get me time? When is he going to fill this in for me? And I really got myself in such a state. And then he sat with me yesterday, in fact, and it literally took him 2 minutes to do it. And he says, what was all that about, mother? It took me 2 minutes to sort it. And you've been churning on it for days. So it's just, you create the situation yourself in head, but there is nothing really. There is nothing.
Yes, it's an illusion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where we imagine things that may go wrong, right? And we convince ourselves that that's true.
Yeah.
But it's an illusion. Yeah. And you can see how they're relatively small things, but they can make us so unhappy, right? And we can end up having so many thoughts about it unnecessarily, about what could go wrong. Yes, Manorma, did you want to say something?
Yes. Sister, coming back to your situation in the plane, you said there were so many empty seats. Now, wouldn't it have been better to have asked the stewardess if you could sit in the aisle seat if it was empty? Was it the fear? I've had that experience traveling, and I wanted to sit next to my friend, but our seats were separately booked. So I asked the stewardess, as there was nobody sitting next to the person where I wanted to sit, if I could. And it worked out. So why did you hesitate not to ask the stewardess, sister?
Well, the reason I hesitated is because there were literally there was a large block of seats that were empty at the front of the plane, and everyone else sitting in the midsection to the rear. And to be honest, at the time, I really thought that if I wanted to change my seat, other people are also going to want to change their seats. And I had already asked if I could before I boarded the plane, and I was told, yes, for $125 or whatever, yes, you can have an aisle seat. So I felt that I had already kind of tried that. But yeah, I guess I could have made another attempt maybe and said, gee, I really, really need an aisle seat, But I was also trying to test myself and say, okay, let's see if I can really tolerate this and not let it get to me, But yeah, sometimes we do. We need to be assertive and we need to ask for what we want. It's
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yes. And the other example about asking your son for help, and it sounds very similar to the situation that I had with having to call the tax authorities. But anyway, so let me see where. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did someone want to say something else?
I think everything that irritates us about others can lead us to understanding of ourselves.
Yeah. Yes, because that's exactly, true.
Yeah.
Because we tend to put the responsibility or the blame sometimes on others, right? But yes, that's a very good point. What can I learn about myself from this situation, whatever the situation is? Maybe do I need to develop more patience, or do I need to be more tolerant, or do I need to be more assertive, right? So we can use all of these situations as learning experiences to learn more about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I
So
think, to be honest with you, sister, I don't know if any of the ladies are going to agree with me. For me, I've always been independent and lived an independent life all my life. And now that I'm hitting 70, my head doesn't seem to be functioning as well as it was. So I think it's the frustration of it, that you have to rely on other people to do tiny, silly little things because you haven't got that confidence or that get up and go in you to do it. It slows you down. I don't know if people agree with me there.
But what is it that you're thinking, that you said you're close to 70? Is that what you were saying?
I'm closing 70, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God, you look so young. I never would have.
Oh, I'm 70.
But you're not having, I hope you're not thinking, oh, wow, I'm getting close to 70. So that means I can't do this, and this.
No, it just slows you down. I think the body, you have to listen to your body. The body slows down, the head slows down, your thinking is not the same anymore. Yeah, you tend to rely on kids more.
Okay, but some of that may be true. I mean, I'll be 64, and I always tease my, friends and all and say, oh, once I hit 60, that was it. It was downhill, for me. But listen, that may be true. Maybe we do slow down physically, or we do slow down somewhat mentally. But if we keep reinforcing that idea that, oh, I can't do what I used to do. I used to have so much energy and now I don't. Now my mind isn't working. You see, what are we doing? We're actually expanding upon that negative thought, right? Instead of saying, okay, I'll do what I can. Let me do as much as I can. There's still a lot that I can do, right? Regardless of my age. So what do we want to focus on? The negative or the positive, right?
Thank you for that.
Hello.
Thank you for sharing, because I'm getting older
Hello?
too. I have some of these thoughts.
Urvashi has a question.
Yes, Urvashi.
Yeah, sorry, it's not so much as a question, but it's about the lady filling out the form. Is it Lilo Ben? Sorry. Yeah, I think it's that confidence thing, as you said, as you're getting older. But we shouldn't put an age, as you said. It's, you're 69 today, you're 70 tomorrow, you're 71 the year after, but we're still all young and we're as young as we want to be in our mind. So that's one thing. And I think the solution to that, I think we should always look at the solution first of doing things ourselves. I think we rely generally in life, we rely a lot on other people. So I think, and maybe that's a cultural thing, but I think, we need to just be, so in that case, for example, I would have got the form, I would have got a blank piece of paper, I would have gone through the questions and answered what I could have. So name, address, whatever, blah, 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 rather than waiting for someone to start from the beginning. And then there would be maybe 2 or 3 questions I couldn't answer. And it might be, well, what do I put here? And that would save their time. And I think sometimes when we are relying on people, then what happens is that it's kind of, they've got such a busy life. It's, I'm just giving an example. Oh, it's only a 2-minute thing, but I'll go. And then they don't find that time because they know in their head it's only a 2-minute job and then they'll come round. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I would try and be very independent. The lady said she was very independent. So continue doing that and be positive, like you say, your age, and that don't say I'm 70. Don't even mention it because you look young. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No, I'm very independent, but it's just sometimes I feel I need somebody to help, and I rely on my kids, and my son gets very annoyed with that. So you're right.
No.
Does he think you can do it yourself? Is that why he gets annoyed, or he just
because I've been a banker for the last 40 years. I've had a very stressful high profile job, and now that I've retired, I'm leaning on him. So he thinks that, Mom, you are capable, you can do it, just don't let go. So that he's trying to push me to go back to what Mom he knows, to Mom, what Mom's turning out to now. So that's where his frustration lies. Never relied on anybody, and all of a sudden, son, do this for me, son, do that for me. So he doesn't like Mom the way she is now. She wants Mom he's grown up with 40 years. Yeah. And as Urvashi said, probably she's right. I think using my age, it does not help.
Using it as kind of an excuse in a way.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Did any of you ever meet or hear
Hello?
of
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say. So that was it. The age thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's good to say, look, I'm such and such a look. I can walk. I can, I'm doing this on my own. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, look, I'm just giving an example. I'm 80 and I can dance. So that's quite a good positive reason to use your age. But other times, yeah, just never think of how old you are. Just say 21. Yeah,
keeping that young out. Did any of you meet Dadi Janki? She was 104 when she passed away.
No, she was an amazing lady.
Yes, 104, and she was still traveling and giving classes.
Yes, she was amazing.
Amazing. She was amazing.
Yeah, but what made her amazing? it was the way that she thought about
Yeah.
herself.
That's
It was
right.
the power
Yeah,
that she took
true.
also from God. I mean, she
Yeah,
really
she was
empowered
amazing.
herself, and yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that with Nilu, she must have seen the form and got scared, saying, "Oh my God, there are 50 pages. When am I going to fill this form? I know I can do it, but the size of the quantity of the forms must have scared her, because obviously it is a lot to fill in. So she needed a help. I think that's the anxiety that's working out.
Yeah, but now you
Yeah.
got it right, sweetheart.
Yeah.
You got it right.
I
It
think
was a silly form with silly questions, which I could
Yeah.
have done quite easily. But then I'm so reliant on him, he's going to do it. Yeah. So that I need to break that cycle, basically.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
need to break that cycle. I know that. I know it's wrong, but it's just breaking that cycle that he's there, he's going to do everything for me. No, I need to do things for myself, like I
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there could be cultural influences too. I
Yeah.
know many women are taught that no, I have to depend on my husband, or I have to depend on my
Yeah.
children. I can't take care of myself, right? Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
it's a cycle you create for yourself, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's
True.
Yes, Manorma, did you want to say something?
Yes. I think as we get older, we've got to accept the fact that we're going to slow down. Nothing to be ashamed about. As long as you are mobile, mentally and physically in a good state, you should thank God that you can still do many things when you look around, many can't do. And Niluben is such a smart woman. I think she just loses confidence. She
Yeah.
can still do everything. And she shouldn't think, oh, I'm going to be 70. Don't think about it. Just thank God that you are able to do, and be humble enough to ask for help.
Yes.
I think there's nothing wrong
Mhm.
in asking for help when you need it sometimes, because you
But the thing
can't
is,
do everything. You can't do everything yourself sometimes.
I haven't even retired fully. I've retired from banking, but I'm still auditor. I'm still working as an auditor.
Well,
So,
then
you know,
that's
my
good. That's
my working
brilliant.
life is still going on. But
Yeah.
that reliant on my son is a cycle that I need to break, and I
That's
still
it.
need to get myself as independent as I was before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because sister said attachment. Maybe
That's it.
that is causing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
You will.
Nilu,
You will.
Nilu, just to let you know, Ben turned 80 3 weeks ago.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry, who?
Her sister.
I.
Oh, wow. Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother passed away. She was 92, and she had the opposite kind of issue where she didn't let anything stop her, and we wanted to stop her. We didn't want her to do things on her own, but she would insist. And so, I mean, in a way, it is kind of admirable, when a person says, well, I'm not going to let age affect me. I'm just going to keep going on,
This is
But we-
it. From yesterday's episode now, I have decided that I'm going to be more independent and I'm not going to rely on anybody. I'm just going to do things my way. And,
Yes,
and when I can do it.
I am independent. Right?
Yeah. Because I felt really humiliated when you just
Sure.
did the thing in 2 minutes, and I've been worried about it for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So got that, that embarrassment and that humiliation. Mother, what is this? Took me 2 minutes to do it. Why couldn't you do it?
Yeah, no, don't be embarrassed or
No,
humiliated. I
no.
mean, I have to admit, I felt a little bit of that too with the tax situation. But then I said, no, let me learn from this. Let me learn from this. And next time, not read into it, not to expect anything negative, just to take the action. Right?
Can I just say sorry? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just Niluben, I think we're debating on. No, what it is, I think in life, again, your situation, for argument's sake, just as an example, is that, yeah, be independent, which we have to be. But on the other side, the flip coin is there's so many things that are changing, so much regulations that are changing that maybe the youngsters know. They're being brought up with technology and all the rest of it. So I would still not be totally independent, but I would still sometimes run something past somebody. So,
Sure.
like I said, if that form had to be filled out, great. And if you could have answered everything, that's it, job done. And you're confident that everything you've answered is good. But in your situation, sister, is that you might want to run your HMRC form or your question past somebody just in case you make a silly little error in filling it. Do you know what I mean? And then that could have had more consequences. So I think it depends on what you're doing as to whether just to get a second opinion, but that's still got nothing to do with age, ability, everything. But it's just being so that you don't have a consequence in what you've done.
Right. So yes, we need to be practical and yes, definitely
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
We need it, sure. But
Yeah.
anyway, I see a lot of strengths in you, young lady. I'm going to call you young ladies because to me you're young ladies. I don't. But what about the talents and the strengths and the virtues that we may possess? How can we bring those out even more in our lives? Have you ever stopped to think about what are my virtues? What are my best qualities? What good do others see in me? And what good do I see in myself? Can we take a few moments to reflect on that? Perhaps I receive compliments from others, but I don't quite believe what they're telling me, right? So what are the good qualities that others see in me? And one way of knowing is to look at things that I really enjoy doing, whether it's a hobby or whether it's my occupation. So for example, if I love to garden, what are the virtues that I possess that make me a good gardener? Right? So for example, I need patience, I need determination, right? To be successful at that. Or if I work in a helping profession or I'm a carer, what qualities do I have that make me successful at doing that? Could be compassion or mercy. And Nilu, you've been a banker. So what qualities does one need to be a successful banker?
Accuracy,
Accuracy.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with people's money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you can't be accurate, if you can't discipline, biggest thing is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that one has to have to hold a job for 40 years.
Yeah. So, and you have those qualities. So if you find yourself thinking, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that, remind yourself, but I have these qualities. I'm responsible. I'm accurate. I've been able to do this job for 40 years. I must have a lot of power inside of me, right?
I think compliance is set in. That's what it is. Compliance is set in. Mental compliance is set in, which needs to be brushed off a bit.
Mental compliance, yeah,
has set in, which needs to be brushed off a bit.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by mental compliance. You mean
kind of, when you officially have retired, yeah, that sticks in your head to say, right, you're retired now. You're gone. Yeah, you're going. Yeah, you're taking a back seat. So but that back seat tag has gone a bit too further up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a tag. Those are just words. They're all words. They don't define me. I'm retired, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. What does that mean? They're just words. Who am I really? And what are my strengths? What are my qualities? What are my virtues? Why don't I remind myself of those things, right?
Yeah.
When I start to feel a little weak or feel a little down. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I bring in something?
Sure.
I've worked with the press office for 27 years and doing all the ITs. I've got very good knowledge with it, and now sitting at home, I'm doing quite a lot myself with IT as well. But when sometimes I have a problem, I go to my son, and he won't teach me or he won't tell me, but he'll question me. Okay, mom, ask yourself what you want to do. where you have to look for it, why you have to do it. It's things like that he'll question me, and I give the answers myself.
Mhm.
That's what how anxious I am to learn and get the answers to, perfectly right. With my son-in-law, he does the same thing. He says, "No, mom, you can do it." But when I'll be honest with you, once I put a video on YouTube, and I had to do amendment to it. I had to edit it, and I did it on my own, everything, but it just wouldn't save. I cut out the bit which I didn't want. It just wouldn't save. So I asked my son-in-law, saying, "Sag, I went through this 3 times and it's still not saved." So he says, "No, mom, you're doing right. Everything is right. Okay, you tell me what you did. You tell me what you did." And I did everything. I told him what I did. And then he says, "You're right. It's not saving. You are still doing wrong." Then he went with his mobile, detail to detail, how I've been doing. And says, "No, mom, you're following everything right." But then he solved the problem and he saved that. But then, you know what? We lost the video.
Okay.
But it is one good thing that I do
Yeah.
keep trying myself first, and then
Mhm. Mhm.
go to my son or my son-in-law.
But yes, I congratulate you for really being determined and trying so hard. Aruna,
Thank
did you want to say
Yeah.
something?
Hiya, Kathy. Good morning, dear.
Good morning.
I'd just like to share a bit of my life, what happened to me some years back. My husband was in a wheelchair. I looked after him for 17 years. He was everything to me, my child, my love, my life, everything he was. And when he passed away, I thought to myself, is this life worth living? No, I just felt it's end of my life. Now I didn't want to look at any side. I was such a brave person, such a powerful person. And then suddenly I've heard people talking, oh, what she did, nobody on this earth can do. She looked after her son so nice. I've been having praises from all over, especially the area I live in. I was like an icon, just me pushing him around every single day, take him wherever he wanted to go. If he said, take me to London, I went to London. I did a couple of overseas trips in the wheelchair. I did everything, not realizing that, I'm doing so much for him because I had the pride and joy to do everything.
Mhm.
And then I was nominated at the Carer Center for me to go and talk to somebody who went through the same thing. And she was also like not taking it very goodly. So they were nominated me and things like that. And then like I relate to you when you said people were praising me so much. And that really lifted me up. Did I really do that? I'm also nearing 70. But now when I'm nearing this life, I'm feeling more confident and strong that I want to do more and more. I haven't really switched off, and I'm looking at the bright side of things. And obviously, I would cut off from negative people who makes you feel even more lonely. Or what are you going to do now? How are you going to take your life out? But then I feel that no, I am powerful. I'm a powerful soul. I look
Yes.
at myself. No, I should give more pride and joy to myself than listen to anybody. And I'm still independent. I'm doing all the right things. And when people look at you, oh, did you really do that? But we never thought you were so like sad inside. Actually, it was every single day to look at your husband like that. You was very hurt inside, but I didn't show it to the next person. I just started laughing, joking with everybody. I took life as normal. Even now, I'm doing the same thing. And yes, and this, Panna Ben, what she did this, this Zoom sessions for us. It's really lifted, especially in the pandemic, it has really lifted us up. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so you realized how much strength you have. And
Yes.
you brought up something important, which is then you can go on to help other people.
Of course, yes. It lifted me up so much. And then you sit and realize, oh my God, did I really do that? Oh God, that was, when people realize that, especially from your in-laws, they say, today we have to give a medal to her for what she did for our brother. I says, no, it was my duty. It was my soul. It was my husband. It wasn't like I did something great. But I did it with so much of love and affection that I just enjoyed every moment doing, you know.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's a wonderful story.
It wasn't easy, you know, because they're so much set in their ways. It wasn't easy, but I just carried on.
Good for you.
Is the humility is about self-awareness?
But Pannabin, today, in this today day and age, this a lot of people won't do it. The next you think is the home, they'll put them in the home, they won't do it. No,
Absolutely
I've realized they won't do it.
Absolutely right.
Okay, so I was thinking maybe we can do a little meditation
Yeah.
now. Okay. And let me just put on a little music again. Okay. So let me sit comfortably. Take a deep breath. And reflect on the strength that I now realize I have inside of me. Perhaps I wasn't so aware before. So I, the being of light, the being of peace, sits within the center of this forehead and radiates light. I am like a star. I'm shining the light of my awareness, the light of the soul, into a darkened world. Unlimited and free of any limitations. I am separate from this body. I encircle myself with pure light, and this light protects me. I am so full of peace that I am only peace. And I share this peace with the world. My mind is like a treasure store that is full of only valuable and elevated thoughts, overflowing with the treasure of peace. And with my thoughts, I create pure, peaceful, and powerful energy. I feel this energy surrounding me and healing me. I feel the sacred presence of the divine, the source of love, truth, and joy. And as my thoughts focus on the being of light, I visualize myself surrounded by waves of love, filled with truth. This love can heal and remove pain I may be holding on to. I simply absorb this love. I feel nurtured and empowered. I connect and take light and power from God. I take this energy not only for myself, but for my family and friends and the world. I shift my thoughts from any feelings of helplessness to faith. Everything will be okay. God is with me, and everything will be all right. Now I feel the love spreading out around me and beyond me. I visualize waves of love reaching every soul in the human family, healing and empowering them too. I hold on to the power of this divine love as I bring my awareness back to the present moment and the world around me. If I ever feel sad or lose hope or courage, I can remind myself that I am a being of peace and I can connect and take power from the Supreme. Om Shanti.
Beautiful, sister.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed our session. I learned a lot from you all, and I found you very inspirational. You're a bunch of really strong women, I can tell.
Thank you. Thank you.
So anyone else have any, excuse me, do you have any closing comments? Or Panna, did you want to say anything to finish up? Excuse me.
To sum it up, I think everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what I think. And of all deceivers, fear most yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, Sister Kathy. We
Thank you.
thoroughly enjoyed today. We shall hope to see you soon again.
Oh, my pleasure. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister
Thank
Kathy.
We would
you.
love
Thank
to
you
see
very
you
much, sister.
again.
Thank
Thank
you.
You must
you.
come back
Thank
again.
you.
We'd love to see
Thank
you
you. It was
again.
beautiful, lovely. Thank you.
Have a
Enjoyed.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
stay
you.
cool.
Om
Thank you. It was a
Shanti.
lovely session. Sorry, I didn't
Oh,
put my video on because I've been lying down. But
Oh,
it was
that's
beautiful. It was beautiful.
yeah, my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Om
Okay.
Shanti.
Thank you, Daksha Ben.
Don't
Bye-bye.
forget to don't
Where's
forget
Thank
to
you.
tune
Thank you,
in.
Daksha Ben. It was
Bye,
lovely session.
Manorama Ben.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed it.
Namaste. Bye.
Namaste.
Bye, everybody.
Manorama Ben.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
all. Don't forget to join. We got Ekadasi Bhajan tonight at 7 o'clock. So join in for our bhajan. And then tomorrow we got Zumba, Monday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Zumba. And then not forgetting, we are back to Friday. This Friday we are going to do our session because it's not the 22nd, it's the following Friday. We are off on that day.
Oh,
So
thanks.
please, yeah, please join in this week. We are in full sessions.
ઈ જાતિ હશે ને આજે આંબેલમાં
લાવે છે આબા
હા
એને ઉપર
Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any. And thank you, Sister Kathy. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Have a
Thank
lovely,
you.
lovely weekend and
Thank you.
a week ahead. Thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
sister.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Bye.
Bye.